For guests and visitors, my name is Steve Perley, club president. I'd like to welcome you to what I think is the 30th meeting of the 48th year of the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club. Today's invocation and pledge of allegiance will be offered by Tom Rice, the pastor. I don't see him, so we need an emergency stand-in.
We gotta go to the other Tom Rice.
Yeah, the other Tom Rice, can you?
Yeah, I got something in my wall.
Yes. You can always rely on a Rotarian.
Right next to that $100 bill.
Yeah.
This is one of my favorite ones, a long time ago.
Okay.
It's called A Prayer for Just Enough. Oh Lord, give me enough tears to keep me human, enough humor to keep me wise, enough setbacks to keep me humble, enough accomplishments to keep me confident, enough patience to teach me waiting, enough hope to teach me trusting, enough friends to give me love, enough memories to give me comfort, and enough faith to keep me going. Bless this food for which we are about to eat in your name, we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Teresa, we have some guests.
Hello, I am President-elect Teresa Russell, and yes, we do have a guest. Our speaker will be introduced later, but with him is Patty Hunter. Welcome. We also have a guest, Ken Sheffield at Charlie's table. Welcome, Ken, prospective member. And we have a distinguished Price Finley with us today, our district governor.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate that. Nope.
Okay, thank you. Oh, and I should probably announce Nick again. Where did he go?
No,
There we go. Okay,
We're
the
done.
tail end. Okay, thank you.
fantastic. Keeping this train cruising, I'd like to bring up our sergeant, Mr. Ken Carey.
It'll be good. And trying to build well. Glad to have you here. Volunteer to carry the pot. For our donations. Thank you, John. Get your money out. I'll start with the happy dollars. If you're a has-been basketball player and a golf fanatic, this is by far the greatest time of year. You got the NCAA tournament. You got the Masters when that is done. I love March and early April. Other happy dollars, who's got it?
Oh, well.
Somebody's got to be happy. Oh, I forgot. I got a second one. My wife and I are excited. In a couple of weeks, we're going to go see the Mario animated movie. Why would a 63-year-old guy want to see a Mario animated movie?
Because your son was involved?
Our son did the music score for it. So when we go to one of his movies, Mama Bear makes me hang around for the end of the credits, just so she can take a picture of his name in the credits. So if you have grandkids or kids that might be interested in that, it's apparently going to be a pretty neat, pretty funny movie. Other happy dollars.
Oh.
Sorry.
Here we go.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rachel.
Oh, just that Alex started full time this last week at City of Moraine as a firefighter. So yeah, he's fully gainfully employed and he's been looking for a job for over a year. So super excited about that.
Okay, just put it in there.
Fantastic. Can you wire us $1 for that?
I will. Yeah, Venmo.
First of all, I'm happy to be here. Secondly, I'm happy to tell you that our son, after 20 days in the hospital and doctor's West in February and 4 weeks
in skilled nursing and is about to be discharged, so. However many dollars.
Fantastic.
And we want to be kind of right. We all, I'm not letting that up.
Great.
So I am happy because it's 5 a.m. I'll wake up 30 tomorrow. I'm on a flight to Tampa. We're taking my daughter for her official visit for college for volleyball at Florida Southern College in Lakeland.
Okay.
Fantastic. Enjoy that trip. Any others? Jennifer. Where are you going?
We are going to Holland on the tulips.
Oh, wow.
And it's also for peer enthusiasts.
Are you going to stop in Amsterdam? Want to hear all about it? I'm going golfing with friends in Scotland in July, and we actually decided to add a day to the beginning of the trip, because 7 of the 8 guys, including myself, have never been to Amsterdam.
Well,
So we're going to spend a day there before moving on. I want to hear all about it, where to go and where not to go. Other happy dollars.
They've got a good street there.
What's it called, George? What street are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
The one with all the windows in it.
Have you been there, George? Have you been to the red light district?
1960. Back when I could do something.
You're a very sick man. Please throw in $1. Yes, any others?
I'll put in $1 for George's memory. That's all it is.
Other happy bucks. All right, I mentioned earlier, it's tournament time. If you attended any Big Ten school, I've already prepaid my fine, any Big Ten school besides Michigan State, throw in $1, because there's 16 teams left. There's only 1 from the Big Ten. That isn't very good.
Wisconsin is semifinals NIT.
We don't even count yet. Either they're in the final 16 or they're not. Questions for the group? You may as well get out all $3 because everybody's gonna get 5. What's that? You're right. You're right. They're playing, oh, I already put in 5. I'm done. They're playing out in Seattle, I believe. Saturday.
Saturday at 4 o'clock.
Everybody check it out. Question for the group. Who considers themselves to be a basketball historian here? Come on. There's a few here. Alan?
Only one event.
Who wants this question? Either the group pays $1 or it doesn't. Every college basketball fan knows that UCLA has the most tournament titles. Who's second? Who's second?
We're saying Kentucky.
What? You just saved the group $1. You are correct. Kentucky has 8 tournament titles. They're in second place.
You don't know.
I think 4. I think 4. I think Kansas has 4.
How many do Ohio State have?
Ohio State only has 1. They've underperformed. But they did, but they also lost. They lost the very first. Here's my next question. I don't even have this written down. Ohio State lost the first NCAA tournament title in 1939. Who beat them?
Oregon.
You got it. Well done. Next question. Who wants to take this one on? What player has the most points in NCAA tournament history? Total tournament games, most points. What player has it? Who thinks they have it?
Al Cinder.
That's a really good guess. Believe it or not, the player that has it, ESPN just did a documentary about him. The name of the documentary, I Hate Christian Laettner. Christian Laettner has the title. Everybody throw in $1 for that. Finally, last question. Who has the most points in a single Final Four game?
Individual or team?
Individual. Final Four game. His alma mater is in the Sweet 16.
Bill Brown.
He should have been president, Senator Bill Bradley. You got it right. You guys are smarter than I thought. Have a great week. Enjoy the tournament. Al.
Today, the anniversary of the Buckeyes winning the national championship in 1960. Today,
Who are the two players off that team
Havlicek.
that are in the NBA's 75 greatest players?
Lucas.
That's it for you. It's Havlicek and Lucas. Siegfried was not the guy. Jerry Lucas and John Havlicek.
Thank you, Ken.
All right, before we get to announcements, I'd like to have Nick Hefner and Mike Moulton come on up here. It is my pleasure to induct Nick into our club today. Go.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. On behalf of the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club, it is my privilege to induct a new member today, Nick Hefner. Nick, you are beginning a great adventure in leadership, friendship, and service to your community and your fellow human. You have been invited to membership by your sponsor, Mike Moulton, and the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club has accepted you as a person of good character, high ethical standards, and a person who has the heart of service and will represent your business classification as a leader in the community. We encourage you to learn all you can about Rotary and to share your own professional and personal skills by actively participating in club activities, including attending weekly meetings, social events, and service projects. Furthermore, you will be provided with many opportunities to serve others through club service, vocational service, community service, new generation service, and international service, known as our Avenues of Service. Our club is known for great work in the Worthington and Dublin communities and in the Dominican Republic and Mongolia. We welcome you in helping us change lives. While you have been invited to join a worldwide organization dedicated to the ideal of service, it will be through your own actions that you become a Rotarian. I am proud to be a Rotarian, and it is my pleasure to provide you with a pin by which your fellow Rotarians and the community at large will recognize you as a Rotarian, and we ask that you wear it proudly. Your sponsor will now pin on the Rotary emblem and give you your red name back.
There's the red name badge. Thank you. Then usually just go to collar of that. There's one of them instead. Good. Hey, there.
All right, looks good.
Congratulations. Glad to have you.
I also have another for you. It is for you to share the invitation that was given to you by your sponsor and to invite another person of your same qualities of character, reputation, and commitment to join our club within the next year. The honor of becoming a Rotarian is only surpassed by sponsoring a new member. Do you accept this challenge?
I do.
Thank you. Also, I have a challenge for our members. Developing strong relationships among members is one of the keys to the success of our club over the past 48 years. Members, you commit yourself to do your part in making Nick feel welcome and assist him in getting engaged in the club. Thank you. With that, I declare Nick Hefner duly inducted into the Dublin Worthington Rotary Club.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, now we are ready for announcements. So if you have announcements, please make your way up here. I'd like to start with our district governor, Bryce Finley.
Thank you, President Steve. It's great to be here with you again. It's been a few months since I was here last. I started doing this thing this year called DG Pop-ins, where I just would show up at a club meeting, not my official visit, just kind of pop in for a visit to make sure that you recognize that the name on the banner still exists. Teresa had her president-elect training a week and a half ago. she's getting ready to go, but I have to argue for my continued relevance for the next three plus months. So that's why I'm here, Steve, right, with me on this? Yeah, absolutely. But I do come here, this is a pop-in with a purpose. So I have a couple of things that I wanted to bring your attention to, and I've put some things on your tables. The first thing is this postcard. This is a postcard for our district assembly and conference being held the weekend of Friday, April 28th and Saturday, April 29th. We'll start the day at 11 o'clock at Mitchell Hall at the Columbus State Community College for what we call our district assembly. And we'll have a lot of things being shared really about Rotary and about club culture and some really great stuff. That'll be through the afternoon. The evening of Friday, April 28th, we have a cocktail reception planned for the rooftop of the National Veterans Memorial Museum, 90 West Broad Street. Who's been to the new Veterans Memorial Museum? Isn't it a fabulous facility? So we're going to have a cocktail reception on the rooftop that evening with beautiful views of downtown Columbus. I have been assured there will be no rain on that Friday evening. I'm probably just, gingering myself into getting a huge cloudburst, but anyway. That's on Friday, and then Saturday all day until 5 p.m. at the National Veterans Memorial Museum with some really great speakers, including retired Major General Deborah Ashenhurst as our keynote speaker. She's here local, and she now serves as the Veterans Affairs person for the state of Ohio. And it's going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day of fellowship, of celebration, of our service to our country and service to our community. So registration is open. You can go on the district website if you've ever been there before and go through that process. There's a page, there's actually a big banner right across the home page to take you to the dedicated spot to get more information about the conference and also to register. You can also just, for some of us, we can scan QR codes. We know how to do that. You open your phone, you put the camera on, and it opens the web page for the QR code, and that'll take you right to the district registration page for that. So I'm really hoping that you all can join us for this wonderful event to celebrate this year in Rotary. On the back of the postcard is some information about a raffle that we're doing. We're doing a raffle of this print right here on the easel, and it's a little tilted, kind of like me, a little tilted. This print is a limited edition print of a painting by Darren Jones. Darren Jones is an artist in Chicago, and he happens to have the same last name as Jennifer Jones. He is her brother, and he created this painting in celebration of the Rotary theme for the year. He incorporated the colors of the theme, purple and green and white. He incorporated sand in the original painting from their home on Lake Ontario. He also took pieces of paper from printouts of the Rotary four-way test and the service above self and incorporated them into the painting and then put the colors over top of that. It's really an amazing work, and we're raffling it off for $25 per chance. You can do one chance for $25, 3 chances for $50, 7 chances for $100. And you can do it all by going to this website on the postcard, or again, by scanning this QR code. And we're going to be raffling that off at the conference. All proceeds go to the Polio Plus Fund. Speaking of the Polio Plus Fund, I know that Steve's been working diligently on promoting the 125 Club for this year, and I've put on your tables. If you haven't had a chance to join the 125 Club so far, please consider ways to do that, including another QR code that you can scan and easily do a donation. And then guess what? we take care of all of the paperwork. All you have to do is a simple one transaction for $125. We file it with the Rotary Foundation, so you get your $25 credit to the Polio Plus Fund and your $100 credit to the annual fund. $25. Who can guess, since we were doing questions earlier, who can guess how many vaccines $25 will provide? Anybody guess? 50? Any other guesses? 100? Any other guesses?
425.
Well, you're in the ballpark. You're absolutely right in the ballpark. It's 156 for 25. But where Teresa's going with this is that I think we all know that the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation matches our donations to the Polio Plus Fund 2 to 1. So that $25 becomes $75. That 156 vaccines becomes 468 vaccines. That's the power of your contributions to the Polio Plus Fund. So if you haven't had a chance to do that this year, I would really, we're really pushing that to try to get to, I think I might have shared when I was here for my official visit, my BHAG, my big, hairy, audacious goal of 100% participation in the 125 Club. So if you haven't had a chance to do that, please do. Thank you, Steve, for having me here today. It's always great to be with you.
Thank you.
If you want to join the 125 Club, but you don't know how to do it technically, as the club's resident tech guy, reach out to me. I'm happy to help you do it. Okay.
Jerry has a thing about registration for the district conference.
You know, your club treasury reimburses folks for their registration fee for district events. So sign up and pay it, and then ask for reimbursement and see if I'll pay to sign the check. I probably will, of course. Lord's pretty strong on me.
So if I heard you correctly, it's free for club members to go to the district conference.
Yeah, it's reimbursable. Let's put it that way.
Sounds like free to me. All right. Any other announcements? If you have them, please make your way up here. While we're waiting, fun fact I learned today. You've endured my presidency for 629 days. Today marks the last 100. Good or bad?
We're glad of that.
Hey, everybody. This is the fourth and last week that I'll be collecting for kid cancer from this club. And Friday I go to Dublin AM, and next week or 2 weeks I go to Cambridge, Byesville, West Lafayette, and Newcomerstown. So I am going around trying to make that money. I'm going to get to that $1 million one of these days. But I just wanted to let you know, I've counted the money with the donation today from Alan and a few others. So far, we're at almost $1,000 in this fund. So give me a tell.
Is that pretty good against all those other clubs?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really well.
Come on up.
Just a short notice here. Several months ago, George Norris and Gwen Wixel accompanied me down to Veracruz, Mexico, to interact there with several Rotary clubs. Over that period, we interacted substantially also with the Paul Harris Outreach Center there, working for the local community. Based upon that, they provided us with a proposal to put together a sweat lodge known as a temazcal in the old novel language. Now, the sweat lodge is much more than a sauna to them. It has deep spiritual, ritual, as well as physical roots that go back thousands of years, actually, to the Olmeca that used to occupy that part of Mexico. I'm very pleased to say that the club has approved a donation of $1,500 to build this temazcal at the Paul Harris Center. They've just about completed it. And indeed, I believe on April 12th now, there will be a formal inauguration of this temazcal. The district governor from District 4385 will be present at that. And I'm planning now on going down, and I would like to invite any of you that would like to accompany me to join. And in fact, if you were to come, we'd be pleased to host you at our residence there. We have a residence there in Veracruz. And if you're interested, please let me know. Thank you.
What are the dates and times?
Well, this will actually occur on April 12th. Now, I haven't purchased my airplane tickets yet, but I suspect that it'll be 5 or 6 days around April 12th, and we have some flexibility there. I think the real key is to be there on April 12th, and perhaps on the preceding Monday, which is when the Rotary Club Villarrica there will be holding its weekly meeting. And it's one of the clubs that strongly supports the Paul Harris Center there. Thank you.
Excellent.
Let me tell you, it's a wonderful place to stay. I had a great time.
Well, thank you. I'll let Aida know that.
I'll announce the club does not reimburse you.
A few other announcements here. The Public Image Committee has made some changes recently, so that we can make sure that we're disseminating information easily and quickly and not duplicating work. So going forward, if you have things that you want on social media or in the newsletter or to the club at large, please send those to PR@DublinWorthingtonRotary.org. That's public relations, PR. That way, it gets to Christy, myself, and Kim, and we all know what's going on. And you'll see that notice in the newsletter as well. The March 22nd event, that's today. The event that we were trying to get together with the Ohio State students and the 4-H and Rowan, unfortunately, they've had to cancel. So if you were already signed up for that, you should have been notified. We may try to do something again with them in the future, but I guess there were some problems getting every group coordinated for this event today. So sorry about that. And then finally, the bourbon raffle. Everybody wants to know where we're at. So still do not have Facebook ads approved. It's been about 47 days. I've followed up with them every week. They still tell me the same thing. It's under review. So we may not get those before the raffle ends, but that's okay because in the last week we sold we're up to 333 tickets sold, up from 281. So that's pretty good in the last week. And we're about $4,500 up in the last week. It's my opinion that we'll see kind of an influx in the last 9 days here. Next week, I'll ask everybody to kind of make a final push to everybody you've reached out, even if they've already bought, just say, hey, last chance, we're in 3 days. And that'll be our big push for the end. So good news is we are going to make money from this. And we've learned a lot. So onward and upward. Oh, and as a reminder, if we do somehow hit $50,000 in fundraise, we will do away with the sponsorship drawing. So additional incentive to get out there and have some tickets. All right, and with that, I think we're ready for our program. Mr. Jim Farmer, if you would do the introduction, please.
It's my pleasure to introduce Aaron Helton today, who earned both his specialized undergraduate degree in workplace psychology, as well as his MS in industrial organizational psychology, with a focus on applied organizational psychology from Eastern Kentucky University. And if anybody can repeat that, I'll give you a dollar. His credentials include workshop training, development, as well as knowledge and collaboration and inclusion among all members of a team. As a consultant for integrated leadership systems, Aaron helps business owners and senior level directors, managers become more emotionally aware and communicate more effectively to grow their business, plan for succession, and become more effective leaders. In pursuit of self-improvement, Aaron's hobbies include all things fitness, having trained in martial arts, bodybuilding, and CrossFit, and team-oriented activities such as escape rooms and online gaming. So if you remember nothing else from this introduction, remember this. Don't mess with Aaron. It's my pleasure to introduce Aaron.
Thank you. All right, first and foremost, I'm going to take this microphone off because I do like to walk around, if that's okay. Now, I've been to a lot of Rotary clubs, and I've got to say, the energy that you guys are bringing, fantastic. I know it's a dreary day out, but this room is beaming, so I think that's fantastic. Today, I'd like to share a little bit about authentic communication.
Now, the first language that we learn anywhere for any culture is body language. So we are always communicating in one way or another. Even in the audience, the way that your faces look is a communication for me. And so we're going to go ahead and look at what authentic communication means as we get older and we start to think, well, there's social nuance and different languages and all this. But at the end of it, we're all human and there's one way we communicate. So I'd like to share a quote with you from Stephen Covey, which many of you are probably familiar with as the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. This quote is, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So on that note, thinking of understanding, I want you to first display what are some of the challenges that you have in communication. And I'd like to seek to understand those first from you. Because as a speaker, I don't want to just sit and speak at you. I don't want to speak to you. I want to speak with you. So first, I'd like to introduce what are the biggest communication challenges that you have? And I'd like to open up to the room. Who's got an answer for me? What you got?
Listening to my wife.
Listening to your wife. Okay. That's definitely a challenge sometimes. So you said you second that. All right. What else? What else? Ma'am?
Communicating with customers,
Communicating with customers. Okay, why?
because some of them don't like to use the phones.
Okay, some of them don't like to use the phones. Okay. What do you do for a job, by the way?
The travel advice.
Travel advisor. Oh, okay. I'd say it's a very high stress customer base. Probably always wanting to get to their vacation and relax, but sometimes it's stressful. Okay. What else?
Listening for understanding.
Listening for understanding. What do you mean by that?
Well, trying so that I can respond in an appropriate way.
Okay, so listening to respond is sometimes an issue. Okay, interesting. Let's hear one more.
Resting being based.
Resting beef. Yes, talking about body language. You know, you all are over here like, huh? What are you talking about? No, that's just the face I have. I'm like, well, I'm really confused because you look confused. No, that's just the face I have. That can definitely lead to some miscommunication. Excellent. Sir, one more.
Kiss. Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple. Okay, yeah, I like it. And you said that's a listening challenge for you sometimes? Okay, all right. I like that. Sometimes it's just simply get to the point, please. You know, respectfully, kindly, please get to the point. So on that note, what I'd like to move on to is talking about the general process of the communication feedback loop. And I'd like you to think about some of those challenges that you've thought of. I want you to keep those in your mind as we explore the process. Now, there's a lot on this slide, so I'm going to take you through it. Yes, sir.
I'll give you one challenge.
Sure.
You need to hold the microphone closer to me.
Oh, well, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that feedback. How's this? A little better?
Hearing challenge.
Hearing challenge. Okay, well, that is a communication challenge for sure. Thank you. I appreciate that feedback. Is this better for everybody? Those in the back can hear me? Awesome. Fantastic. All right, so let's go over the communication process. And as I mentioned, there's a lot on this slide, but take a moment and I'll walk you through it. So first, don't think of a pink elephant. Everybody's going to immediately think of one, right? Because that's human nature. But everybody's pink elephant that they think of is different. Some of you thought of a pink elephant in the sense of a fancy, realistic elephant from Africa, and you just painted it pink. Some of you think of a cartoonish Dumbo type of individual, you know, a type of creature that's just cartoonish because pink is just a cartoonish, it's not in the real world. There's no pink elephant. And so you thought of it differently. That's what's called decoding, and we're going to get that in a moment. So as a sender, a speaker, it starts as the sender and it goes to the receiver. And when we speak, we try to give a message. So that's the simple form of it. You as a sender are trying to give a message to a receiver. That's all communication, always, no matter what form it takes. So when I say, don't think of a pink elephant, I'm encoding my idea of pink elephant to you. And you will be decoding it in a different way. The way that you decode or encode things is, as I mentioned earlier, that cultural, societal, social, even gender or upbringing differences that lead to, well, if I tell you this, you'll keep it simple, stupid, right? The kiss. Sometimes things get lost. And the reason it gets lost is because first media and then noise. Noise can come in any shape or form, as I mentioned, the cultural, social, or structural formats that lead to our message, but also in today's day and age that's full of technology, the media, we're always thinking about, well, I'm telling you something over text, or I'm telling you something over the phone, but I can't see the same thing you're looking at. So when you say, well, it's on the top left corner, it's looking kind of like this, it's like a star. Well, my idea of a star looks a little different than your idea of a star, maybe. And so you end up with this muddled communication. Let me give you an example. From my late psychology professor, fantastic, jovial, Santa Claus of a man. Let me tell you a bit of a story about it. One day, long ago, before you had reliable cell phones, he communicated by email as a professor, excuse me. And so one day he was teaching a class whole day, and his wife and him had been working on getting a hot tub installed into their house, some sort of side project. And so she was in charge of that, really working through figuring out, hey, who can I communicate with? Who can I get this hot tub from? And they tried multiple people. So she sent him an email one day and says, that was the third one. It's a no-go, but we'll keep trying. I guess something with their layout. So he said, well, I wanted to reassure my wife and let her know that I was on her side, that I felt disappointment alongside her. So you know what he sent an email? I'm disappointed with you. Like together, I'm disappointed with you. But you know what she read? I'm disappointed with you. They went into a 1 hour class and they came back to a whole bunch of emails back to him, let me tell you. And that's the way that media can muddle things. And so I'd like you to think back on those challenges. Think about this process again. What is the noise that's in your life? Sorry?
Not just you.
It's not just you, exactly. But yeah, let's think about the noise that's in the life, the media, the way that you're saying things. And second, the keep it simple, stupid, or the hearing to the listening to respond, the listening to understand. It can get difficult because sometimes we forget about this right here, which is the feedback loop. A lot of times when you have a communication and you want to give a message, you give that message, or you wait to hear what you're trying to hear. My biggest communication challenge is I used to say a lot more than I needed to. Yeah, I'm going to tell you about this and then this thing, and then by the way, there's this thing, and here's the details of that. You don't really need to know that, but it's there just in case you need it. And people would just say, there's too much. And I said, what's my biggest hearing challenge when I wanted to listen? And it was, people tell me too much. I just wanted to get to the point. And that was also my issue. And so taking that into account, looking at the feedback loop, you want to create a conversation rather than a direct just statement. A lot of times, for the sake of thorough communication. A lot of times we may have situations in which we need to just get to the point. Hey, there's a fire, where's the fire extinguisher? Okay, let's go. But there are others where there's a chance to empower somebody by creating that feedback loop. Because when somebody's able to ask questions of you, are able to enunciate what they mean, sometimes you're trying to teach something in a way that simply isn't how they learn. And creating that feedback loop is one of the ways that we can lead to proper communication. To that end, I'd like to introduce you to the ABCD of cognitive behavioral psychology, which is the bread and butter of integrated leadership systems. Once again, I'd like you to take those thoughts that you had earlier, those challenges, and I'm going to ask you to challenge the belief surrounding them as well. And once again, I'm going to tap you through this slide. So we have an example right here of a snake. Don't look at all that for a second. I just want you to imagine we're here at the speech, you're sitting in the audience. You feel something slither across your foot and you look down, it's a snake. What are you going to do?
Scream.
Scream. Okay, run.
Back off of it.
Back off of it. Exactly. You're going to do something. But me, myself, I'm going to go, oh man, nope, I'm getting away from that. That's a no-go right there. I don't want that. And that's fight or flight, right? A, an activating event is the snake. And your immediate response is going to be your dependent behavior. You know, this side right here. And D is going to be your dependent behavior. And that's going to be running away. Now, A to D behavior is what we refer to as reactivity. And that is 80% of the world, according to the theory of adult development. 80% of the world moves from A to B. They see a thing, they go. And that's fine, that's fight or flight. That's necessary for us as human beings in order to live and survive. It's not as great at 2 p.m. when your wife says, we need to talk. And that's it, it's just attacking you, run into panic mode. Oh man, well, I'm gonna go out with the boys tonight. See you at like 8 p.m., maybe 9, maybe 10, maybe midnight, you need to sleep, right? And so it's less useful to us to be in A to D behavior every single day for things that are not life or death. But we are, because as human beings, we've evolved to that point. That 80% is also known as a teenager's mindset. That is emotionally a teenager level. 20% of the world moves to what's called creative. Now, creative tendencies is the B and the C. Let's circle back to that snake example. You see a snake and you run away. Why did you run away? Because I felt, C, my consequent emotion was fear. Why was I scared of a snake? Because my B, my belief system, is that snakes are dangerous. Any snake, anywhere. Now, what if you're one of those interesting individuals, I say interesting as a compliment, that have a pet snake? Or if you're somebody that just has knowledge of snakes, that's a grass snake, it can't hurt you, it's a garden snake. Then what's your belief system going to be? That snake is not dangerous. And because of that, your consequent emotion is going to be different. There's a snake, this snake is not dangerous, so maybe there's curiosity, maybe passion, maybe you're gonna take a picture of it. You love snakes. Oh, fantastic, I'll go pick it up, my new pet. Oh no, if you're an interesting person, right? And so your dependent behavior is gonna change in one of those. That's the creativity, that's moving outside of that teenager's mindset, which 4 out of 5 people, even as adults, are emotionally at that level of A to D. So when you move to B and C, your belief system and your consequent emotions, you're able to move past that fight or flight, that instant response, that living in reactivity, which is a spiral. Because if you've seen any teenager, they take it to an extreme. But as I mentioned, 4 out of 5 adults are still actually teenagers emotionally. I know some of you can think of some people immediately like, oh, yeah, that guy. All right. And so I'd like you to circle back to those questions, those challenges that you had earlier, listening to understand. What's my belief here? I just need you to get to the point. You're not giving me enough. That's the belief. What about the opposite? What would an alternative belief be? It could be, I'm not listening to you, or I'm not giving you enough space, or maybe my listening style is not fitting with the way that you speak. Should I address that? Should we talk about that instead? Because otherwise you fall into this blame game. Not to use your example specifically, but in all of those communication challenges, those are the things that come up. So when you're able to challenge your own belief and think, what can I control? Not only you get more influence with those around you, you get more aligned with yourself and the life that you're trying to live. You have better communication, and you have an overall better experience. Now, what I'm going to do lastly is put up one more slide with another example. It's just to flesh out the ABCD. Now, I'm not going to go over this example specifically as far as the ABCD, but I will say one more time, this example is Jerry keeps interrupting me in team meetings. Your immediate belief is he thinks I'm stupid, so you'll have your emotion of frustration, then your dependent behavior is going to be different as well. Well, I'm just going to not talk anymore. He doesn't care what I say. The difference is going to be, what is another belief? Think of some of those listening challenges that you put earlier and thought about. And even those that didn't share, think of an example. And then what is an alternative belief I could plug in to have a different emotion, a different dependent behavior? And I'll leave this up as a format so you can think about that. But I want to circle back in closing to that quote I had earlier by Stephen Covey. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. You think of it in terms of communication as, okay, I'll make sure I listen properly, then I'll tell my story. But I actually want you to turn it back towards yourself again. Because there's a lot of they're not listening. This is the person, all these externals. But I want you to circle it back to yourself. Seek first to understand yourself. What is my belief? And then seek to understand others. Thank you. That's why I like to open up the questions. Yes, sir.
Just a comment on your feedback slide, it occurred to me that the 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds have the best feedback there is.
Yes.
Why?
Oh, so
Why?
actually,
Why? That's their only feedback.
you said that's their only feedback as well?
Or every time, you tell them something, you say why.
Mhm. Yeah, root cause analysis, asking, I think in general, 5 whys gets to the heart of things. And this is basically what it is, asking yourself why. Yeah. And also 4 and 5-year-olds don't have preconceived notions. A lot of times you ask yourself why, and your brain gives you an answer. Oh, this is why. They're not listening because they don't care, or they're not listening because of this, this, or this. But really, maybe they're not listening because I'm not saying it well, or they're not listening because it's something that, or they already got the information in them, something like that. So thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Kind of like a paradigm theory.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Now, an example is you're in a plane. And there's a man and a child. And the child's crying through the whole ride. You're sitting behind and you're just upset, swearing at the stewardess. Why does this kid shut up? Blah, blah, blah. And then you realize when you got off the plane, you say something to the stewardess and they said, this man's wife and this child's mother just died.
Oh,
That's the paradigm thing, and it's just that how you see it, how you
exactly.
perceive it.
And you never know what somebody's going through, and that's really all you can do is focus on terms. Yes,
So beliefs are developed over time, and your example kind of makes it sound like, well, that's easy, we'll just change our belief.
oh, it's not easy, let me tell you.
So what are the strategies for adjusting, for doing what you suggest?
Well, I think there's a lot of different ways to go about it, and I think just like your belief can change, or the current belief that you have is going to be different per person, and as you said, formed over time. The same is true for the opposite. It's like, I like things fitness, so it's like going to the gym. Harry Crews has said, hey, if you want to build a habit of going to the gym, don't even go and work out, just make the habit of going, read a magazine and come back. Eventually it's the habit of going, then you're there, and you think, well, I might as well lift the weight. Then eventually you're getting into the habit of it. So for changing beliefs, it would depend, but a lot of times what we have our clients do is we have them journal, we have them sit with themselves. A lot of times what happens when we go home and we sit with ourselves, okay, it's been a busy day, I'm gonna lay down on the couch and I'm just not gonna exist for an hour. That's not relaxation, that's dissociation. You're not really sitting, and you might distract yourself with your phone or a show, but you're not sitting with yourself. Sitting with yourself in that tiny voice. We actually had a client once that sat and she just, oh, I'm sorry, thank you. She sat and with herself and she got this small voice that said, take my family to Utah. That's the weirdest thing. It came out of nowhere. It was actually coming out of her deepest desires. And so connecting with your belief, I know I've taken a little bit of a tangent, but connecting with your belief as far as these smaller scale instances, it comes to priming your brain to thinking. It comes from journaling and introspection and basically telling yourself, so-and-so called me and I always yell at them on the phone. Well, I'm gonna journal about it next time. So-and-so called me and I yelled at them again. That's not who I want to be. What happened? And we have a structure for journaling as well to really look at the emotion. What happened? Working backwards with the ABCD. Why did I yell at them? Am I crabby? Am I upset? Is it this person specifically? And so by looking at it in that way, you're able to then prime your brain for next time. Oh, wait, this guy's calling me. What was it I was supposed to do? Not yell at him. Okay, let's try it out. And sometimes it's mental. It can take years or longer to change your belief because it took just as long to build that. Does that answer your question? Excellent. Yes, sir.
I've heard this expressed in a very similar but slightly different way in terms of the work that we do is to create the space between A and D. That is, and however you do that, whether that's meditation, whether that's taking a walk, where you actually can lengthen the time between the activating event and then your personal response to that. The more mindfulness we're moving toward, and the more we're able to not just react, but to take it all in and process it.
Yes, I think that's exactly it.
As I mentioned, it depends on you as a person. Some people don't like journaling as much, and for me personally, journaling and meditation are my go-to. So those are the examples I use as far as that. But do you have any other examples? What worked for you as far as this concept? Taking a walk, okay. Distancing yourself from the situation. Walking mindfulness sort of thing. Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Yes, I think that is a simplification of it that's very palatable. Create a space between A and D in order to analyze that B and C. Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You didn't say much about noise, and I'm an old communications engineer. Noise is what limits the throughput of communications channel.
Definitely.
And when your communications is limited, you end up being very dependent on the receiver's ability to take that little piece of information and make careful decisions. And one example, 2 words. Main, excuse me, main body. Anyone here? A lot of people here should know what that means.
We didn't hear you very well.
Main body.
Body.
Main body.
Watch.
And what do you mean by that, sir? Main body.
Main body. A admiral correctly figured out who it was. It was the Japanese fleet attacking Midway. And we had those 2 words from a scout pilot. And based on his knowledge as an admiral, he made the right interpretation. You know, we're kind of here today because he did that. So I think that relationship between noise and communication and the ability of the receiver to use his prior experience and his judgment to figure out what he meant from a very poor communication is kind of critical.
I agree. I think that's a bit of an extreme example, but it definitely displays the concept of sometimes you get a communication or you give one out that's not enough for a person. And so sorting through the noise, being a good listener is less about tuning in as it is tuning out everything else, that noise. I think that's something of what you were getting at. Is that correct? Yes, definitely an excellent point. Thank you, sir. Anything else?
Thank you very much. And back to thanks, Lee. I appreciate you, my friend. Thank you. Right. We have a raffle. Yes. How much?
$26 today.
$26.
Last four, 9138.
9138.
Oh. Did he pull his own ticket?
Ooh.
Oh, I How much is it in face?
$506.
That is worth 6 burger rounds. And then you put $6 in mine.
There you go. Ready? 9146.
9146. One more.
One more.
Yeah, Mike wins again. That's the name of this game, Mike wins again. Oh, my God, over here again.
Worst of luck to you.
Foundation needs you, man. There it is, ace right there. Ace right there.
Oh.
Get this thing up to a grand. All right. As introduced and in closing, I'd like you to join me in the recitation of the following sentences over here. Of the things we think, say, and do, first. Second.
And all concerned.
Third.
Will it build goodwill and better friendships?
And fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, everybody. Please remember to turn your cell phones back on and turn your badges. Have a great rest of your week.
Yes.